All right, welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. First NFL video of the year, Carolina Panthers 22-23 season preview. We're going through the whole schedule and figure out what kind of future bet we want to place here.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
All right, so let's get started. Real quick, there are two big mistakes that every single person makes when trying to make NFL future bets as far as predicting season results. Number one, they never have any upsets, right? They'll go through the schedule. Every team that should win will win. Every team that they should lose to will beat them. Now, obviously, all of us know that that is not how an NFL season goes. There's upsets all the time. There's upsets every single week. So to go through and make an entire season prediction with like one upset, no, that's not how it works. So you got to account for upsets, number one. Number two, huge mistake that people make when they're going through a team schedule is they don't take into account what's going on in their opponent's schedule at that time. Yeah, if the Panthers are playing the 49ers, they should lose that game. But if the 49ers are coming off a Monday Night Football game against the Rams in LA, that might be a flat spot for San Francisco. And I'm not saying the Panthers are going to beat the 49ers. That's just an example. But the point is you have to take into account what's going on with your opponent's season. I mean, are they coming off a bye? Are they going into a bye? Are they coming off a huge game? Are they going into a huge game? All this matters. So without any more further ado, let's get started. Panthers week 1, home against Cleveland. Cleveland obviously needs to run the ball. Most likely not going to see Deshaun Watson out there. He's going to be suspended possibly for the whole season. Who knows? This is a good matchup for Carolina. They've got 3 new offensive linemen. They're going to welcome a conservative run and punt game. And I think Carolina steals this one. I'm starting their schedule off with an upset win. Say 16-13 Panthers. Carolina moves to 1-0. Moving on to week 2, Carolina travels to the Meadowlands to play the Giants. And the Giants suck, but you add Kayvon Thibodeau to their front 7, and all of a sudden the Giants have a pretty decent pass rush. Here's the thing, Sam Darnold isn't going to take a single 7-step drop in that entire game, so it kind of renders the Giants' defense, the strength of their defense, a little useless. The weakness on the Giants' defense is going to be their secondary, and all Carolina is going to do is get the ball to McCaffrey, get the ball to DJ Moore in space, and force the secondary to make tackles. Carolina wins this game 26-20, undefeated 2-0 Carolina Panthers. Let's move on. All right, week 3, home against the Saints, and I'm making a bold call here. Bucks. Saints coming off a huge game against Tampa Bay the week before. I think they can win that game in week 2. But what that does is create the biggest flat spot ever in week 3 in Carolina. Yes, Jameis Winston is healthy. Yes, they have a lot of weapons in the passing game, but they've lost one of their best pieces in pass protection, and the Saints were the worst team in the NFL by far at running the football last year. Carolina's going to be happy to force Jameis Winston to throw the ball 50 times in this game, and they're going to be happy to run a nice conservative offense, run the ball 30, 35 times themselves. Carolina wins this game, man. Panthers 3-0. Next up, week 4, home against the Cardinals, and this is where the Panthers get a huge wake-up call. I'm not big on this Cardinals team this year, but you got to give them credit. They force a lot of turnovers, and this could be the game where Sam Darnold really gets exposed, and the first time in the season that he actually looks bad. Cardinals win this one in a blowout. Panthers move to 3-1. Next up, against San Francisco, and this is the example I gave in the intro. The 49ers coming off a huge game, Monday Night Football in LA against the Rams. So it's definitely a flat spot for them, but the 49ers are well coached. They can run the ball, they can slash, they can get the ball over the middle. It's a really tough matchup for the Panthers. So I do think that they'll shock us a little bit. I think the Panthers will play great in this game, possibly cover whatever the spread is, but I think the 49ers win it. Carolina moves to 3-2. Next up, Carolina travels out west to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Rams coming off the Cowboys game. They have back-to-back home games. So even though the Cowboys game may be a bit of a challenge, who knows? Back-to-back home games, this shouldn't be a problem for LA. Rams win this one comfortably. 3-3 for Carolina. Next up, home game against Tom Brady and the Bucks, and I do think that the Carolina Panthers match up with the Bucks better than most people think, but I just love this spot for the Bucks here. Look at this stretch of games. Tampa Bay plays Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and then Carolina. Kind of like a stress-free 3-week stretch here for the Bucks. Even though I think Carolina could potentially give Tampa Bay problems, I don't think they do in this spot. Give me the Bucks with a win. Panthers move to 3-4. Next game up, on the road in Atlanta, and this is where the Panthers' losing streak ends. Atlanta's got great corners, man. They can cover receivers. They can really lock down the sidelines. Here's the problem with that. The Panthers could care less. They're trying to get the ball to their playmakers in space. They can care less about the sidelines. Panthers beat the Falcons on the road here. Go back to 500, 4-4. Next game, they're at Cincinnati. At first glance, easy loss, right? Well, hold up. Cincinnati's coming off a Monday night game at Cleveland. Big division matchup for them. Either way, I don't like this matchup for Carolina. So similar to the game earlier, which one was that? San Francisco. They're in a good spot, but I don't like the matchup, so I'm going to give the win to Cincinnati. They move back under 500, 4-5. Don't worry, Panthers, because we're right back in the win column. The game after that, Thursday night, home against Atlanta. They will complete this sweep. I really love the way this team matches up with the Falcons. Back to 500, 5-5 Panthers. Next up, at Baltimore. Sorry, Panthers fans, this is a loss. I think the Ravens are going to be really good this year. And although a rushing battle might play into Carolina's favor, they're not going to be able to keep up with the Ravens. Ravens win this one comfortably, back under 500, 5-6 Panthers. Now we're into week 12, home against the Broncos, and I'm sorry, this is another loss. And it's not that I'm big on Russell Wilson and this new Broncos team. I actually don't even know how good they'll be, but the Broncos defense in the second half of the year was really good, especially between the tackles. Matches up really well against the Panthers. Broncos win this one, man. So the Panthers drop to 5-7. Next week is week 13. That's your bye week. So we'll cruise right up to week 14. And this will be the ugliest game of the season for the Panthers. They're going to lose to the Seahawks. Now, hear me out. Seahawks, second in the NFL in run defense last year. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. The Seahawks play the run game very, very well. They're going to force Sam Darnold or whoever's playing quarterback at this point in the season to beat them through the air, and they're not capable of it. Seattle with a big upset here. Panthers drop to 5-8. Next up, home game against Pittsburgh, and I think this is a really winnable game for the Panthers here. Who knows who's going to be playing quarterback for the Steelers? Let's pretend it's Kenny Pickett. Is that going to be good enough to pick apart the Panthers secondary? No. Najee Harris is big, but you can't out-physical Carolina's defense. TJ Watt, great against the pass. Steelers dead last in the NFL defending the run. Panthers just going to run the ball, keep it conservative, and they should win this. Panthers move back to 6-8. Next up, the biggest coin flip on this schedule, because we really don't know what the Detroit Lions are going to look like this year or what kind of schemes they're going to run. We have no idea what to expect from this team. So I'm just going to call it a win for the Panthers, but this is a complete coin flip. So let's say 7-8 Panthers, but they could easily be 6-9 here. Unfortunately, that will be the last win of the season for the Panthers, because the following week they travel to Tampa Bay. And although I think they could really play with the Bucks, not in this spot. Tampa Bay is going to be battling for playoff seeding. That's a loss, move to 7-9. Following week, they play the Saints in the last week of the season. New Orleans also should be battling for playoff seeding. So another one where the Panthers are mathematically eliminated against a team that's playing for something. That's another loss. That brings us to 7-10. So we got the Carolina Panthers at 7-10 on the season. 6-11 if you think they'll drop that Detroit game. Win total for the Panthers is set at 6 even. You can get the over at plus 105. I think there's value in that. I think that's a win or a push situation. So I'm taking the Carolina Panthers over 6 wins at plus money. Remember, KyleKirms.com and the Sauce Network app, I will be posting all the win totals on September 1st, along with my top 5 to top 7 favorites. All future bets, not just win totals too. It'll all be up there. Also, for any kind of updates, follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you want. It's cool. I don't really care.